Hello one and all, and thank you for opening up your Dungeon Master's Handbook. My name is Russell, and on today's page we're going to be a little bit more casual than we usually are here on this channel. By the title of this video, I'm sure you can tell that today's topic is going to be me giving my opinions and rankings on all of the subclasses within Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, up until Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. I'm going to be ranking them both on their usefulness in-game and thematically, but I'll be focusing on the themes of the subclass rather than how they do in combat. So no, Beastmaster Ranger probably won't be an F tier. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. Alright everybody, let's just get right into it here. I'm using tiermaker.com to make this video, and here's all the list of all the subclasses so far through Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Not sure why Oathbreaker's down there. There might be some on here that I really don't know too much about. And in that case, I'll be putting them in the question tier. But if I don't know too much about them, I do have my trusty D&D Beyond webpage open here, so we can at least do a little research before making our selection. Abjuration. All right, this one I have a little bit of history with because I've DM'd for one before. It was not fun to DM against, and thematically, just protection magic doesn't seem that cool to me. I feel like there's just other things with magic that you can do that are better. So for that, I'm probably going to put them in D tier. Blade Singing, I just don't see really the point of a sword-wielding wizard. Thematically, I don't like it as much as Abjuration, so I'm really going to put it in E. I feel really bad putting two wizards in D and E right off the bat, but we'll see how this goes. The Dunamancy spells found in, Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, are some of my favorite spells actually in the whole game, so I'm just going to go ahead and thematically, I kind of like Graviturgy better, so I think I'm going to do that. It's not quite S tier. I know that I'm going to put Necromancy in S tier, both because Necromancy is super freaking cool. So that's those three. Conjuration up next. It's sort of teleportation magic or summoning magic. Thematically, pretty cool. In practice, some of their abilities are kind of lackluster. For now, I'm going to put it in C, and we have a sort of even distribution thus far, but we'll see. I'm going to go through at the end of the video and go through all of them once more just to make sure I'm happy with where I put them all. So we'll see if this one actually stays where it is. Divination, to me, is actually one of the better subclasses for Wizard thematically, because I like a character that's, shrouded in mystery and magic, but also knows everything that's going to happen. So, that sort of high-level divination character to me seems really, really fun to play. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put them in A tier. As for their abilities, let me actually look at them real quick. Okay, yeah, after looking at them, Divination is definitely an A tier. I might even move that up to S tier later. They're Potent, something like that. It's really cool. You get to basically use a roll from earlier in the day later, and then your later abilities, you see through the ethereal plane. I mean, for me, that's both really, really good, useful in game, and also really cool thematically. Enchantment also, thematically, normally when you think of enchantment, you think of Charm Person, but it's also Dominate Person and Gauge and stuff like that, where you can force people to do exactly what you want. So it makes for a really cool Dark Wizard archetype. It's definitely not quite thematically up there with Divination and Necromancy. I might move Divination up, but for now, that's where I'm going to put it at B. Evocation for me has always been a solid B tier, just because I like blowing things up. I like a destructive character, your standard Pyromancer or Pyromaniac, I should say, that just goes out and wreaks havoc. Illusion is one that is lackluster in its abilities. It makes an illusion real for a minute or something like that. It's okay. It's not great. And also thematically, illusions are only really useful up until a certain point. I guess that's talking about in-game measures. For me, I'm going to put it in C. I don't think it's as bad as D or E, but yeah. Scribes, thematically, to me, seems kind of just like a less cool bard, but its abilities are really, really cool. Like being able to swap your damage types and stuff like that. I can't remember what book that's from, but yeah, I've never had to DM for one of those, but or made a NPC that's one, but I might have to because their abilities are really, really cool. Transmutation, another solid B tier to me in my mind, just because turning stuff into other stuff is thematically cool, and its abilities, you get a free polymorph per day, and your transmutation stone give you various benefits like proficiency in Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration and stuff like that. So yeah, I think B tier is a good place for that. War magic seems to me as sort of like a middle ground between abjuration and evocation. So maybe I wouldn't put it in D tier, but also at the same time, its abilities aren't very great. I mean, they can deal some extra damage maybe and protect themselves a little bit with... I mean, they're sort of using their abjuration magic to do more damage. So yeah, I'm going to leave it in D. I might move it later. All right, on to the bards. First up is creation. Its abilities seem not too great to me, being able to animate an object. As to where I would place it, maybe C. Because, I mean, thematically, actually, I want to put more emphasis on the themes because that's really the important part of Dungeons & Dragons to me. So I'm going to bump it up to B, just because sort of bard taking the power of the cosmos and enchanting it into their magic, it seems really cool to me. Eloquence Bard is an A tier to me. I like one that is able to, be one with the people and make solid connections with them and just, be very eloquent with their words. Glamour to me is one of the best in combat because of their ability to cast command without using a spell slot and basically just take all of the attention out of the room at the same time. So that gives it a lot of points for me. But as far as a bard that sort of is everyone, hey, look at me, I don't really like that, so I'm going to put it in C next to creation. Lore Bard is a great bard. I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be. I want to put it maybe in A tier next to Eloquence. I might move one of those two up to S, I'm not sure yet. I like them both a lot. College of Swords, first to me, seemed pretty bland as far as thematically goes, but then when I started to read the description that you actually find in the book that it comes in, it's really cool and gave me the idea of a circus performer who juggles swords and stuff, is just very dexterous and acrobatic when they're wielding weapons. So with something like that in mind, I also want to put it in B tier probably. Its abilities are okay, nothing too bad to say about them. Sort of using your inspiration to help yourself in combat, which isn't really what I like to see in a bard, but still it makes for an interesting character. Valor to me is just a less thematic swords, and its abilities are not great, so I'm going to put it down in D tier. Maybe even, I'm going to put it in E tier actually. Alright, and for College of Whispers, I gotta admit, I'm kind of a sucker for an evil character that appears to be nice on the outside, so I'm going to put them in A tier as well, just because they sort of act beneath the shadows, and it's not what you expect when someone says, oh yeah, I'm playing a bard. You expect, the happy-go-lucky, high charisma, make everyone laugh with jokes and songs, but this one is something much different, and they lots of times have secrets that they're not willing to tell the rest of the party, so very, very interesting subclass. Alright, we are on to Paladins. First one up is Oath of the Ancients. The ones I've seen from this are sort of like a nature-based paladin, which is pretty unique. I'm not very familiar with its abilities, but I'm going to be focusing on themes here. Honestly, personally, I'm not really one for nature magic, like druids or rangers in general, so I'm not a huge fan, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in C tier. Up to next, we have Oath of Conquest. This one is actually one of the most versatile, in my opinion, because it can be a conquest to do anything. It's just sort of a paladin that seeks out a mission in life, and I'll put it up in A tier. I will say overall Paladin is one of my favorite classes thematically, but also my least favorite to run as a DM, because some of their abilities are really, really overpowered. Not even just subclass abilities. Even just Paladins in general, like giving an aura boost to saving throws and all the aura boost that comes from the subclasses. It's really, really good. Oath of the Crown is one of the subclasses that I use the most for NPCs. Anytime I'm making sort of a guard for any sort of noble or nobility within a city, I normally make them an Oath of the Crown, just because that then promises them that they'll be protecting and devoted to their ruler. But as far as thematically, I mean, for a player character, it's pretty limiting, because it basically means I have to be subservient to some sort of higher power that is a person. So yeah, I'll put it in C. Devotion. I have a hard time with Devotion, because its aura boost is really, really good because you cannot be charmed. But that is really, really annoying as a DM because a lot of monsters like to charm people, and now I just can't do that to the entire party. That really puts a taint on it for me. Thematically, though, it is really, really good because mostly it ties to some sort of deity. At least that's the only way that I've ever seen it run. And with that in mind, you can make it any deity you want, so the devotion to that deity can be expressed any way you want. If it's Melora, it's worshipping nature. If it's Lolth, then it's, assassinating people. It can be really, really anything you want. Oath of Glory thematically isn't too great in my opinion, just because it seems like it's the sort of character that is just, oh, I am the chosen one. I am the one that will bring peace to the land. It's kind of a self-centered, sort of just self-focused class that doesn't have a lot of opportunity for character growth in my opinion. And I mean, I'm just going to pop it in C. That's all I can really say about it. Oath of Redemption is pretty cool thematically, in my opinion. It sort of centers around the idea that you're trying to redeem all of the evil that is now in the world. You're trying to rid the world of it, both with your sword and with conversing with them. So I'll pop it in C, or B tier for now. Yeah. Last up for the Paladins is Oath of Watchers. I really like basically any class that has to deal with the far realm and sort of protecting this world from other worlds. So I'll pop it in B tier as well. Moving on now to the Clerics. First up is our Arcana Domain Cleric. This would normally be a worship of Sehanine, I think her name is. As far as a divine caster using arcane spells, I'm not a huge fan of it in combat or in game in general, but thematically it's okay. I kind of feel like I'm defaulting to B with everything, so I'm going to put this one in C because it doesn't really have too much it can do other than worshipping a very limited set of gods. Death Domain, once again, I'm a sucker for a really good evil character. Probably going to put it in S. Because, yeah, mostly it's in the DMG because it's supposed to be an evil character, but also a lot of people can be worshippers of maybe the Raven Queen, who are just think of death as a natural part of life that should not be evaded. So yeah, I'll put it in S tier as well. Forge is the one that is a little bit more lackluster to me as far as thematically goes. It's just sort of your blacksmith who works with steel and the like. But its abilities are pretty cool, so I'll pop it up into C for that. Grave Domain is a subclass that's a lot like Death Domain to me, but it's more limiting in the fact that it's just people that are sort of like, we want to seek out undeath and destroy it. It's not really too much beyond that. I know that Taliesin Jaffe plays one of these, and he plays a much different one, but to me, I don't really know why he is a Grave Domain Cleric. I don't know why he picked Grave Domain for Caduceus. Knowledge Domain thematically isn't very appealing to me, just because there's only a handful of gods that you can worship with it, mainly Ioun. And in combat, it's not great either, so I'm going to have to put this one in D. Life Domain, it's your default. It can be any domain, but as far as what the character brings to it, they're going to be the healer of the party. They're going to be someone that believes that, most, if not all, people should be given life. So I'm going to put this one in D as well. Light Domain Cleric seems sort of like a beacon of light within the world that they're trying to become. There's not really too much that I can think of right now that you can, with a lot of variability with the class, so I'm going to put this one in D as well. Nature, I said it before, I'm not a big nature magic guy, but at least this one, there's a lot of different types of nature that you could worship, like you worship oceans or even deserts or jungles, so I'll bump this one up into C. Order Domain can make for a lot of different interesting characters. I can think of some that are like, they want to see perfection in the world, but their idea of perfection is their own. So it can actually create for a very chaotic, neutral sort of character rather than what you think to be a lawful good, because you don't know what their moral code may be. So I'm going to put this one up in... I'm going to put it in A, actually. Peace Cleric seems like one of the most limiting clerics, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in E tier. Tempest Domain Clerics is one of my favorite clerics thematically, because I like the idea of Cleric of the Storm. That just seems really, really cool to me. I'm debating between S and A. I'm going to put an A for now. Might move it up to S later. Trickery is cool. It once again creates for a very chaotic character, but this one, their chaos is more just for fun. At least that's my experience with it. It can be anything from a thief to a gambler, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in B tier. Twilight is one I have absolutely no experience with, so I'm going to put it in the question mark. War gives me sort of Paladin vibes. So I feel like I'm gonna put it in B for now. Taking another look at it, there are a lot of different gods that can be worshipped for a war because there's a lot of aspects of war. Some of them are in the war for the good cause. Some of them are in it for the destruction. So I'm going to leave it in B for now. We're moving on to sorcerers. First up, we have Aberrant Mind. Once again, anything from the Far Realms or anything I really like a lot. So I'm going to put this one in A for now. Clockwork Soul. So I also really like Sorcerer as a class because there's a lot of different things you can do. I mean, all the subclasses are very, very iconic thematically in my mind. Clockwork I don't like quite as much as Aberrant, so I'm going to put it in B. Divine Soul is probably the weakest point in my opinion, sort of healing magic in combat. It doesn't seem that great to me. And being blessed by a god it can be okay, but if you want to be blessed by a god or something else, just kind of play Warlock. I don't know. Draconic Bloodline, always solid. Shadow Magic, I think it's another A, honestly. Maybe B. I'll put it in B. Storm Sorcery, B. Wild Magic, A. Because I like the idea of a character just being, boom, you have magic now and you have no idea what to do with it. So yeah, those are my Sorcerer tier lists. Boom, boom, done. Hey y'all, just wanted to jump in here for a second and let you guys know that this is actually going to be a 2-part video. I'm currently in the process of editing the first part and it's already over 15 minutes, so I wanted to split it up to make it a little bit more easy for everyone to watch in one sitting. As always, thank you all for watching, and I hope you find yourself at a table real soon.